Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I am so excited for this video because it is a collab with my dear friend Mia from Mia's Virtual Vanity here on YouTube and on Instagram, and she has some really just amazing content. And on her channel she started a art-inspired Shop My Stash, where she chooses a painting and then chooses products to reflect the colors in the painting. And then she goes on to talking about different topics that pertain to the artwork. And it's just really interesting to listen to and also just very soothing to watch. And she's an amazing storyteller, so I definitely recommend you check out her videos. And her channel for other videos, she has a very curated collection, and she also does a lot of commentary videos which are so great. I just love her sassy personality and she really tells it how it is. And so the art piece that I chose is by Alphonse Mucha, and he is a painter slash graphic artist and illustrator. And this piece is part of a precious stones series, and this particular one is inspired by topaz. And I've been really wanting to do some kind of a makeup look inspired by Alphonse Mucha for a really long time. The reason being is that when I was very little, like 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere around that range, and I was living in Czech Republic, my grandmother seemed to always have a calendar every year of Alphonse Mucha's work, and I just remember inspecting each piece and being absolutely in love with it. And also it did help that his last name is Mucha, which in Czech means basically like a fly, and of course my young self thought that it was funny and worth giggling over. But I just really love the aesthetic of his pieces, and he has done so many, and this one in particular I chose because I vividly remember this very specific image of this woman. And so these are the products that I chose that are inspired by this art piece. So let me quickly go through these products, and then we're gonna get into the kind of makeup application section where I will talk about and go into depth a little bit more about who Alphonse Mucha was. So for lips, I chose the Pat McGrath Pale Fire Nectar lip gloss, and I'm gonna place it over the Glaminatrix Cosmetics Cherry Pie. I think it's a liquid lipstick. I'm not even sure. This came free with my order, so I thought I would try it out. So I'm gonna pair these two together. Then I'm just using my Tarte Shape Tape and the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes, and I'm just really trying to use up this concealer because it's just not really kind of my cup of tea anymore. It's very thick and heavy, so I'm just trying to get through it. And then this mascara, I don't particularly love it, but it is a sample I'm just trying to get through, so I thought I would get some more use out of it. Plus I'm going to be putting on lashes anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Next I have the Catrice Camouflage Cream, which I'm going to be using to cancel out any kind of darkness and just try to control the under eye bag situation. Then for the brows, I'm going to be using my Soap Brows by WBCO, and it's just like a little tin, and you wet it and you use it to kind of feather the brows. And then on top of that, I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Brow Blade, which I love for feather-like strokes to fill in the front section of my eyebrows. Then I'm actually going to be trying out this new ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation for the first time. I get it in the shade Fair 05W, and it's definitely going to be too light, which is why I'm going to be using the Tower 28 Bronzino West Coast to bronze it up a little bit. And then for blush, I'm gonna be mixing these two cream blushes by Fenty Beauty. One is in the shade Fuego Flush and the other Daiquiri Dip. I thought these would be a nice kind of combination. Next I have these two powders. One is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Setting Powder, which I'm going to be using to set my under eyes. And then to set the face, I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder. And this one I got some time ago, and it actually kind of hard pan on the top, so I had to scrape that off, but now it seems to be working fine. For the eye base, I reached for the P. Louise base in shade 0.5. I haven't really been using my P. Louise base anymore, so I thought I would bring that out since I am stuck with this huge tube. And then for these shimmers, I'm going to be using my Pixie Epoxy from Farinay. To line my waterline, I'm going to be using the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in the shade Peach Fuzz. And for the highlighter, I thought I would try out this Illamasqua Beyond Powder Highlighter in the shade Deity. And this is just a stunning shade. I don't think the camera is going to capture it, but it's a really interesting shade. And I do want to mention that this was sent to me by Illamasqua to try out. And then second to last, I will be doing some faux freckles with the Pseudo Labs Freckle Kit. And then last but not least, here is my little mini custom palette that I chose inspired by the artwork. So let me scoot it over so we can talk about it next to the actual piece. So I picked out the Makeup Geek shade in Chickadee, as this shade is very prominent in this art piece. And then to kind of deepen it up, I picked out Brick House, also from Makeup Geek. And then for the shimmers, the best part, as always, I have Throne from Cleona and then Egg Hunt from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. So I'm really excited to pair these all together and see what kind of look I come up with. So now let's get into the application part of the video. This is going to be a voiceover because this is my first kind of video like this where I'm going to be telling a story. So I want to make sure I cover everything and I have some notes written down. So it's going to be easiest for me to do a voiceover, and I'm just not as experienced as Mia on this kind of storytelling, so bear with me. And now to end this insanely long intro, let's get into the look. So while I apply all the products that I chose in this Shop My Stash, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Alphonse Mucha. He was a Czech painter and graphic artist. He played an important role in the Art Nouveau period, which was late 19th century, early 20th century, and I'm probably gonna say Art Nouveau in 300 different ways, so bear with me. But his artwork was vital in marrying practical design and decorative art together. He was born in Moravia, which is the current day Czech Republic, and he was very patriotic and proud of where he came from. He first began as a singer, but he did love drawing a lot more, and so he applied to an art school in Prague, but was rejected and quote unquote advised to find a different career, which is so funny to me and ironic because he did blow up with his talents. And so after he was rejected, he moved to Vienna and became an apprentice painter. And I'm not going to get too much detail and into the weeds of this part of his life, but he eventually was able to get professional training in an art school in Munich. And then after that, he moved to France, where he really took off. And the reason he took off is because he was hired by Sarah Bernhardt, who was a very famous French stage actress. And she hired him for a last-minute poster to do her show. And so I'll put up on the screen the poster he did for her. And she just absolutely loved it. And she ended up hiring him to do many, many more posters for her shows. And so he quickly became known for his distinctly stylized and decorative theatrical posters. And he also did a lot of ads, for example, cigarette rolling paper, chocolate, and champagne ads. His posters focus on women in lavish settings, which he used photography to prepare some of the compositions. And I will get a little bit more in detail into his style a little later. And then in 1918, which is this part I thought it was really cool and interesting, he designed the Czechoslovak bills and also their first stamps. And this was the time that Czechoslovakia officially formed as a country. And so I'll put up some of the bills. And obviously this is a long time ago, so this is not what the Czech crown bills look like anymore. And in my personal opinion, I think his style was really great for something like this. And then later on in his life, he wanted to focus on painting. And so he strayed away from this Art Nouveau style and set on to paint 20 very large paintings, which were called the Slav Epic. And the paintings were depicting Slav people's achievements throughout history. And he traveled around to different Slavic countries to research for those paintings. Then on the 10th anniversary of the creation of Czechoslovakia, so in 1928, Mucha gave the Slav epic to the city of Prague as kind of a celebration and a gift. And as World War II began, the 20 paintings were hidden away from the Germans, as they would probably get him into a lot of trouble. And so also as World War II began, Mucha got sick with pneumonia, and shortly after he was arrested and interrogated by the Gestapo. And after a few days of interrogation, he was released, but his health was still declining and he ended up passing away 10 days before his 79th birthday. He did have a daughter and a son, and his son Jiří wrote a biography about his father and really kept his legacy alive. And to this day, Mucha remains one of the most well-known artists from the Art Nouveau era. But back then he actually was frustrated about this, and he asked, what is it, Art Nouveau? Art can never be new, because he thought that art should be timeless, and his art for sure is timeless. And so next I really want to dive into a little bit more of the details of his artwork and also talk about typography a little bit, since I am a type nerd, and that's one of the things that really stood out from his posters is his typography, his calligraphy. He was just a great artist overall. And so when you look at his posters, his ads, or even just the panels, you can really see a specific style as well as a composition or kind of the layout that he had down. So a lot of times there was a almost halo effect with some sort of a pattern. It could be mosaic or it could be more detailed botanical leaves, etc. And the women in these art panels almost look fairy-like with their exaggerated hair curling, and the foliage which seemed to come up from the bottom. And the reason I'm not calling these paintings is because he actually used lithography to create all of these panels, which is really crazy to think about because the amount he did in different time spans is just crazy. It must have been so time consuming. And what I love about his compositions is that they really feel very much designed. You just really can tell when somebody has a designer's way of thinking. You can see that there's a hierarchy from typography to the way that the woman is posing. And his typography was very stylized and elegant, definitely of the times. The Art Nouveau typography had a signature diagonal and triangular character shapes, and some fonts that have been digitalized are Virgin Roman and ITC Benguet. I am totally butchering that, but that's actually the font that is used for the Stranger Things logo, which I thought was really funny and not really sure how that fits. But I guess I can kind of see it. It's just funny to think that something so modern that's trying to be so 90s has a Art Nouveau font. I think his advertisements were really successful. Even just looking at them nowadays, I really feel like they withstand the test of time. And then lastly, I did just want to mention his season series. And I think this one is a bit different from his posters, definitely very similar. But this one has like a frame around the woman and the setting. And I love the way that everything is so soft. There's a lot of soft curves in the pattern, but it's also very geometric. And I love the juxtaposition of the two. What can I say? I just really love his style, and I wish I could do such detailed, intricate patterns. So that brings us to the end of the learning portion of the video. And so that's the finished look based on the Alphonse Mucha artwork that I chose. And I hope you enjoyed learning about him as well and kind of discovering his different art pieces and his style. Let me know in the comments below what you think of his artwork, which one is your favorite, anything that stands out to you. And thanks for sticking around through my first kind of voiceover story time / biography section. I think this is the most homework I've ever done for a video. And make sure you check out Mia's channel to see which painting she chose for her art Shop My Stash. And I can't wait to see her look, and I can't wait to hear her story. She is such an amazing storyteller. And so all her information will be linked down below in the description box, so please make sure you check her out. You will not regret it. And thank you so much, Mia, for collaborating with me. I've been wanting to do a collab like this for such a long time with you. And so that's everything for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of me doing more Shop My Stashes. Is that something you would like to see from me? And so thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video.